Did you know Variety, the children's charity, is the entertainment charity started by a group of show business people who found an abandoned baby in a theatre way back in 1928. These kind-hearted performers raised so much money to help the lost child that they began helping other children, and Variety, the children's charity, was born. Read the full story and support the entertainers charity that supports kids in need today. Visit variety.org.au. You're listening to the School of Hard Knock Knocks podcast with me, Maury Morgan.
Ladies and gentlemen, your next comedian.
Shouldn't drink on an empty head, you know that, don't you?
That is the shittiest heckle I have ever heard in my life.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
What's a bucket list?
You have dangerously underprepared yourself for the shit that is about to get real.
The Kagools are an award-winning, mute, physical comedy duo from the UK. Offstage, they're a very talkative Claire Ford and Nicky Wilkinson. In this interview, you'll learn about the dangers of slapstick, rocking up at strangers' doorsteps, how to build a brand in comedy through longevity, and the upside of being a double act. You'll also get advice on clowning and how to write new material. And if you're interested in seeing the Kagools in any of the Australian comedy festivals in 2018, then log on to www.thekagools.com and get your tickets for Adelaide Fringe, Melbourne International Comedy Festival or Sydney Comedy Festival. And while I have your attention, if you're listening to this podcast via iTunes, Stitcher or Spotify, we'd love to receive your rating. It helps us get out to more comedy lovers. Now, here's Claire Ford and Nicky Wilkinson of the Kagools. Good morning, Claire, Nicky, how are you?
Good morning, Maury.
Hi. Right. Bit tired.
You're a bit tired, all right. Well, I'm just for our audience a better understanding of who you are when you speak. Can I get Claire, then Nicky, to say hello, a couple of words, just so we know what your voices sound like?
Okay. Hi, I'm Claire.
And that's what she sounds like. I'm Nicky. My accent is northern and a little bit deeper.
There we go. All right. Well, that's good for the audience to be able to understand who's talking when and where. Well, thank you very much, Claire and Nicky, for this opportunity to interview you. It's in the evening here in Melbourne, and you're in the UK somewhere. Where are you exactly?
We're in Bristol at the moment.
In Bristol. You're on tour at the moment, aren't you?
We're just doing a mini gig and tour. We're doing the Slapstick Festival at the moment in Bristol.
Yep. Perfect. Well, that's a very good segue to perhaps let me introduce you to our audience who may not know of you, the Kagools. The Kagools, you are a physical comedy duo that has a backing track of music and special effects, but you don't actually talk in any of your comedy. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, we never speak. It's all visual, so sound and film and, never speak.
Right, and that's why typically at the beginning of these interviews I play 1 to 2 minute snippet of the comedians or comedian that I'm interviewing. In this case, unfortunately, I can't because it would just be basically other people's music, wouldn't
it? Basically.
Well, you are very animated. It is physical comedy, so Slapstick is the festival that you're doing at the moment. You are called the Kagools. Now, I did a little bit of research. This is my understanding. Please correct me. I think it is a sort of English bastardization of a French word which means essentially a knee-length parka, sort of wind protector, or some rain but not thick. And you wear them, and it has a hood, and you wear them on stage. That's my research. Tell me, am I right?
That's pretty good, actually. You're probably right in that it is probably an original French word, but anybody in the UK would know and use the word cagoule. But one thing it's probably not knee length, but it is, and it often doesn't have a zip all the way down. But it is a waterproof thing, and it does have a hood, and we wear our hoods up all the time. But we did notice that when we go outside of the UK, anywhere outside of the UK, nobody really knows the word.
Yeah, we have in Australia. I'm from Melbourne, and it's famous for 4 seasons in one day. So it was 37 degrees today, and it hailed and snowed at lunchtime. That's how random. Oh, not quite, but and you do go outside with sunglasses, sunblock, and a rain jacket. That's just normal as well. So it's a very practical item for Melbourne.
Right, yeah. Is that what sorry.
Oop, still there? Yeah, it's a very practical item for Melbourne because it's not thick, is it? It's just plastic.
Exactly the
sheeting.
same. So that's what you'd call it, a rain jacket.
Rain jacket, yeah. What do we call wind sheeters? Wind sheeters? Look, I can't recall. It's something that perhaps high school students might wear here to school.
We're trying to spread the word Kagool around so that everyone starts calling it a Kagool.
Kagool.
I would say probably the word Kagool in the UK is probably synonymous with very nerdy style things.
Right.
So you might have a rain jacket that's not necessarily nerdy, but a Kagool is nerdy.
Yes.
It's quite a specific thing.
Yeah, it's quite specific. It's quite a specific sort of way. Oh, you're going to go and wear your Kagool. It's not really like just a nice walking jacket.
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing.
not cool.
Got you.
It's cool.
And you wouldn't be an intelligent person. You'd be a bit of a dweeb or it's very dorky. Yeah. You're not Einstein. You're probably dribbling in maths class.
That's right.
Yeah, okay, good. Got it. All right, I think we can relate to that now. Well, you are an animated duo, so you must win at charades all the time.
Yeah.
We do actually.
Yeah, we do quite well.
Oh, well, that's good.
We've been together as a double act for a good few years before we start doing the Kagools full time. So we do know each other really well and what our responses will be. And if we're doing things that are slightly improvised, we're always quite good at picking each other's movements up because obviously because we don't speak, it's all facial expression and physical movement. But mostly it's in the face and the eyes actually. And I know Nicky's eyes so well now that I pretty much know what she's thinking without speaking. So I think that's what you get when you've obviously been, working together for a long time.
Well, that's good. Let's take a step back and find out where you did meet. So how did this start? Where did the two of you meet and then think, yep, let's do it?
We met at drama school quite a few years ago, and started as a double act probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and we used to do sketches and characters and all sorts of different things, and then the Kagools have kind of always been around, but they just used to be a short section in our longer shows.
Yes,
they just seemed to go down really well with the audiences. We really enjoyed doing them and just show a connection to them, and then just dropped everything else and on them, and just wondered if we could do it as a longer form, do a full hour show without speaking, and turns out we could. We're now writing our third show, so
wow. So the Kagools were a niche piece, like a small piece of a larger performance.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, in amongst other characters and sketches.
Yeah, but always the ones that we always came into the next show and the next show, because we always like, should we just put those weird Kagool characters in again? So everyone seemed to like it, and then we just progressed with it, and then we started using them interacting with film, and that seemed to go around as well. And now all our shows have this film element where the Kagools also live in a 2D reality.
And did the other part, the part that the original part where Kagools came from, did that have speaking roles at all?
No, they've never. Yeah.
At one point,
I don't know why.
At one point, mine did make a little noise.
Oh yeah, got rid of that. Clay to do this weird alien type noise. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And because you wear the parkas with the hood up, I imagine that you can walk down Main Street during any festival and people wouldn't recognise you. Is that fair?
Yeah, that is the case. Yeah. And often I think because it frames our face, we look quite similar. I mean, we don't think we do, but we often have people come after a show saying, "Oh, I really liked it when you did that bit," and I'll say that was Claire. So yeah, it's and they say, "Are you twins?" A good disguise.
So you must be sisters. Or twins. No, but you're right. When then we go to the bar afterwards or something, and nobody knows that we've
Yeah, great.
The bouncer stops you at the door and says, no, it's only for cast and crew, and you have to explain who you are through mime.
Yeah,
Exactly.
put our hoods and
Yeah, right, got you. Well, thinking about comedy as a business for a moment now, and you know, I had a epiphany of the benefits of not talking, because obviously coming to Australia, if you wanted to talk, English is our first language, but Norway, Vietnam, that you've just mentioned, you've done Norway and you've done Vietnam, you're going back to Vietnam. Singapore has obviously very good English, but is that a massive benefit, the fact that you are not restricted by linguistics?
yeah, it is for world domination,
Yeah.
which is what we do. So, yeah, it's great. I think that's probably one of the best things about it, is that we can do it anywhere, and you don't have to speak English to be able to understand it.
Yeah.
You know.
So where's the weirdest country you've been to in that case?
Well, like you just mentioned, I think a lot of places we're very lucky that they do speak English. So we haven't as yet been to a sort of small village in the middle of India where they don't speak English. But we've been, you know, Vietnam and Singapore and Jakarta. We went to. So
Everywhere speaks English. It's really weird. We thought the same, Maury. We were like, oh, it's brilliant. We can go everywhere and hopefully we can connect with everyone. And pretty much everywhere we've been so far is they've all come up afterwards and gone, oh, we really loved your show, and like all speak in English. And we're like, oh.
But saying that, even if they do speak English, often some of the references and maybe your tone or your accent or something like that, or I don't know, a style like self-deprecation or something doesn't necessarily come across in another country. So to just take all of that away and for it all to be visual, you know,
it's all emotion, isn't it?
Yeah,
we're speaking in emotion, and that's something that is universal.
Yes.
And we notice as well, even as young, like if people bring their kids in, even as young as 1-year-olds will sit there and watch it and go, oh, I get this.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's something we didn't realise, and we certainly wrote them as adult shows, but kids just love it as well. So that's really nice you know, that everybody can sort of enjoy it. And even when we're being rude, we're not saying words. So
Yeah, no, true. Getting around that, it's a technicality. Yeah. Well, you're talking about kids, which is funny because I've seen a number of your videos, and some of the people that you randomly pull out of the audience and bring up on stage, they seem to have a childlike understanding of what you're saying. Everyone in the audience seems to understand exactly what you're trying to get them to do, whether it be go down on one knee and offer a ring or pick you up and save you from drowning. Everyone gets it, except for some reason the person that you've pulled up on stage.
Yeah, that's to do just with a sort of, well, it's just technical really. It's to do with the fact that first of all, they're probably a bit nervous. And second of all, the audience can see front on to our facial expressions, and you can sort of read a lot in the face that you don't realise. But they're side on to us, so we're standing side of them, and so they can't sort of pick up our, I guess it's vibes really, or they can't.
Yep.
And that's literally how that's it.
We do give a little bit of misdirection as well on purpose.
Yeah, right. Well, you do, and they look bamboozled. I don't use that word that's it. That's the first time, and probably the last time I'll use that word this year. But it explains very much what's going through that person's mind. I'm pretty sure the kids would get it immediately, but for some reason, men over the age of 20 just seem to collapse.
They get it in the end, and actually they always end up as the hero. So whenever we get we always make sure they end up saving the day or being good, because it's all about having fun, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Ultimately, all we're asking of them is just to come and play with us for the sake of entertainment. I mean, it's not. We would never make anyone do anything that's too embarrassing or, well, I hope not. That's not true.
No. Well, men. Well, here's a question that's probably related to the art of. Would you call it clowning that you're doing? I guess it's a form of clowning, isn't it? Yeah.
Form of clowning.
Yeah. You seem to pick on men so far that I've seen. Is that intentional, or do you do a 50-50 trade of embarrassment?
We do have. think it's just happened naturally that way, but we do pick on women as well. We've kind of found that men, I don't know, seem to be freer to kind of be silly and not worry as much, or they're more embarrassed, which is funnier for the audience.
It's also like the anima and the animus, isn't it? It's like we're women, and so the yin and the yang. We can also make lots of sort of innuendo jokes, which we've actually tried doing with women as well. But the audience just goes, "What?" We're like,
right.
Have you not heard of women fancying women? Okay, fine.
Yeah,
We'll go
probably
back.
says a lot about society.
Anyway, so it's more about like we can play with them on that level as well. But during our shows, our longer shows, we get women up just the same. Yeah.
You do, yeah. I wasn't sure because I look at stand-up comics talking stand-up comics, and if they're going to engage with someone in the front row, if they're a male comedian, they generally, if they want to be a bit nasty or a bit crude, they'll go for men. They won't go for a woman necessarily. If it's a female comedian, they could go either way, I found. But and I think it's part of the art of clowning as you. I'm trying to dig deeper and find out some of the cultural requirements of comedy, or the cultural prerequisites of comedy here. Let's go on another question now about how you generate your content. So, look, it starts off with some music. You come on, and from that point forward, it could go anywhere. You engage with the audience randomly. The music changes. You pull people up. You pour. I assume it's like salsa over your face. Things that are totally random. Are you sitting in a living room role playing this? Is this how do you generate that content?
I like your description of it, Maury.
Oh yeah.
That's good. We take influences from sort of everywhere in culture, really. If we've watched a film, and we get a lot of ideas from films, don't we? And or music, we might hear a piece of music and go, "Oh, that would be really nice if you were doing this and I was doing that." And because it's a good time to ask us the question because we're writing a new show at the moment.
It's all written, Claire. We're ready for Adelaide.
Yeah, right. So we generally like pick something like that, like a music or a film or something, and go, what would happen if these idiots, these smiling idiots were in this situation? Then we go from that, and we just literally play in the room. You're right. We literally, and then we might say, oh, well, that might tack onto that one. And I think it looks random to you because perhaps those scenes have grown over the years where we've gone, oh, that bit worked in that scene, and we'll put that together with that and that. Is that?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, and you're very physical, so you're jumping on, off, out of stage. You are, I assume, you're wearing, a nice, comfortable pair of shoes this time. Have you ever had an injury in performance, and the show must go on, and had to carry on through the rest of the show with an ankle issue or a sore finger?
Oh yes, we have. My joints like to pop out every now and again. So it's been a thing that I've dislocated both my knees in the past. But
oh, I thought you had some marijuana joints and popped out of your pocket. No,
no. Yeah, I've dislocated both my knees in the past, but not during the show. But we actually have. I sort of said to Claire, look, if how she was talking about knowing my eyes so well earlier.
She knows pain now.
Yeah, I've got a specific look for if my knees round back, so we know we've got a contingency plan. But it hasn't happened yet. But I did dislocate my finger. We were doing a gig near Birmingham, and it was a big festival, so it was a big music stage, and I went to sort of lean forward off the front and just leant a bit too far and fell off and landed, sort of sat on my hand. And then I looked down at my hand, and
you fell on a pile of children.
Yeah, there was loads of kids down there. And nobody, do you know what the worst thing was? They didn't clap or laugh or boo or do anything.
No.
They just stared at me. And then I sort of looked down at my hand, and my middle finger on my right hand was bent the wrong way around. So we just went to we finished the set, and I had to just sort of hold my finger in place. And then we went to the medic's tent, and they just popped it back in, and everything was fine.
You didn't wave it around the children and get them to scream in terror?
I mean, I should have done that, yeah.
Improvisation. Where were the parents at this point? Were they out having a drink and the kid left the kids there, or were they in the room as well?
And they were all drunk somewhere.
No, well, there was there, but all the kids were at the front, so all the adults, you're right, all the adults were sat on the
behind, yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Wow, that's one of the risks. Yeah, it's definitely, when I talk to stand-up comedians who have done other jobs before their current comedy role, some of them have been cleaning the inside of pipes with fumes, and they've been climbing trees, lopping, very dangerous jobs. But then I said to them, stand-up comedy must be one of the safest jobs around, but not in your case.
Sorry, Maury, can we just stop you there?
We'll just pause it for a sec. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, Maury. You're sorry. Basically, I will tell you what's just happened. So we turned up to do this gig yesterday, and we were meant to be staying with a friend who's working in New Zealand. So we couldn't get into his house at midnight, and he said, "Oh, go and see a friend who lives around the corner." Oh. So we ended up knocking on a stranger's door at midnight,
and now we're
in the house. So.
Very lovely, and just offered coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just walked in, this stranger. Hello, stranger. And that is show business in comedy, isn't it? Such a random...
Yeah, just life on
we
the
find
road.
ourselves
reliant on
all sorts of different places, and that's part of the fun, but that's also part of the pain as well.
From where we stand in the audience and look up, it's all glamour, it's all blue M&Ms in the green room, but, there you go.
Yeah.
Not always that case.
Yeah.
No,
it's pretty.
Well, it's a perfect segue, ladies, for my next question, which is about advice that you might give to new comics. Obviously, people who are more aligned with physical comedy. What advice would you give them if they're just starting out? Maybe they're only a couple of months in. Maybe they haven't started, but have got a dream.
Just do it.
That's probably actually the best advice we had, isn't it? It's like you have good gigs and you'll have bad gigs, and if anybody tells you they've never had a bad gig, they're lying. The key is just to keep going. Yeah. So when you feel like giving up, just keep going.
It's all about longevity. One day something will happen, or it won't, and then you die.
That's not advice, Maury. Don't listen to that.
Yeah, right.
I think you have to have fun with it. I think that's the main thing that we try and do, because if you look at it too seriously, or it does pain you too much, or you're finding it difficult to go out and do it, and you've got to try and have fun with it.
Because when you're having on stage, your audience is more than likely having fun as well. I mean, obviously not always, but more than likely, if you're on stage not having fun or being pained, it's much less likely they'll be having fun. But in terms of physical comedy, I mean, there's obviously loads of courses to start you off if clowning's your thing. I've done a few courses, but originally, actually, it was just that I got a job, an acting job in a clowning sort of situation. He just saw something in me that would work for clowning, and he taught me that on the job. I got paid to learn clowning. I was really, really lucky.
Yeah, right.
There were so many courses out there, if that's the thing. But it's such a wide subject. It's such a wide, physical comedy is wide, goes from props to mime to silliness in the crowd. But there's all sorts of different ways you can do it. So again, with speaking comedy,
I think that's the thing we've learned, is that because on the circuit, for example, I don't know if it's the same in Australia. I think it is, that predominantly it's stand-up comedy, which is set to a a format that's been happening for a lot of years. And what we do, I think we've had a couple of sort of people feeding back that we're doing a kind of modern day, 1930s style of comedy. And I think what I'm trying to say is that you can do anything you want. If you're not necessarily seeing it, but you think, oh, that would be funny, just go out and try it.
Yep.
Do what you think's funny.
Just do what you think.
Because you've got to do it over and over again, and if it bores you, you can't.
Yeah,
you've got
that's
to do,
it. Yeah. So don't try else, just do your own thing.
Yeah, right. Have you gone into Korea and Japan? Because the Japanese and Koreans seem to love that physical comedy, or at least the ones that come over to Australia, like the Kagools. They're a foursome of Koreans. Have you gone over there yet and thrown physical comedy back at them?
Not yet. No, we'd love to.
Well, there was talk of it. One of the Korean festivals.
Yeah.
We haven't managed it yet. We agree with you, actually. We think Japan and Korea would be perfect for us.
Yeah, we'd love to.
It's just, we're always doing something at the moment, so it's just getting there, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and finding a reliable place to live while you're there. Not strangers' houses,
Just knocking
I guess.
on doors.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Bristol. You're in Bristol, you said, so nice place, very friendly.
So, yeah.
Bristol's a lovely place, yeah.
Yeah. Well, talking about tours and friendly places, you are coming down to Australia. You've got Adelaide Fringe Festival, which is, it's the end of... It's February, isn't it? It's February, end of February, early March. You're doing 2 different types of show. My understanding, is it Tootie?
Yeah.
And what's the other name, the other show you're doing?
Yeah, so Tootie is our the current show that we've been doing. We actually did it in Adelaide last year. So it's really, we just wanted to do it again. It's really just a chance for anyone who didn't see it to see it again. And then in the second 2 weeks of Adelaide Fringe, we'll be doing our new show, which is called Cooler.
Cooler, okay.
And it's like way cooler.
It's really cool.
Okay.
So, LA.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you're doing, 2 weeks, you said, of Adelaide, and then you're heading over. It's about 1,000 kilometres between the two cities of Adelaide and Melbourne, and you'll be doing Melbourne again, I think, at the end of March and into April as well.
Well, almost. We're doing 4 weeks of Adelaide. So
okay.
We're doing 2 weeks of Cooler, and then we... In Melbourne, I think that's the first week of April.
Yeah, I think we might start on the 2nd of April, but and then we're doing a week there, and we're hoping to pick up other. We'll be doing gigs and trying to get some one-off shows maybe. Melbourne, so yeah, and then we're off to Sydney. Yeah,
fantastic. And it's another 1,000 kilometres between those two cities, Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah, quite a big country you live in there.
It is indeed. And you've done these festivals before. It's not the first time you've done Australian festivals.
No, this is our 3rd year in Australia.
Mm-hmm. Great. And then you're off to Singapore and Vietnam.
Yeah, we've got 2 weeks in Asia, so we're just booking up gigs around that way. So at the minute, just Vietnam and Singapore, but maybe Malaysia as well, and a couple of other places. But it's just kind of it's hard to sort of get all these things running in order and trying to book flights in between.
I've only booked a flight.
Yeah, Claire's just booked a flight, so it's happening. I've got my visa. We're all good.
So if only one of you makes it, it's going to be the Kagools, is it?
Yeah.
No S. Right. I guess does that make it a lot easier to travel because you're always got someone to talk to, or does it make it harder because you can't get away from them?
It's easier. Oh.
I should ask you that privately. Okay.
No, it's easier.
We're very lucky that we get on.
Because it can be lonely.
Yeah, I mean, we do a bit of solo stuff as well, and we often do say, actually, when we come off stage, it's so good to be able to share the experience with somebody else. Like you say, you can come off, and even if you've had a good time, it can still feel lonely because then you're like, oh, we had a good time, now everyone's gone and I'm left on my own. And then obviously, if you haven't had a good time, then it's even worse. But yeah, it's great to share all the highs and lows with each other because it makes it more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Well, I will be at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. We not only do we do a podcast, we do a stand-up comedy school, and we've got our graduates performing in the Best Of show as well. So I'll be actively around, so I will try to pop in and see your performance at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. I will also be in Adelaide just for a couple of days during that festival as well for the Adelaide Fringe, but possibly won't get to see too many shows during that time. Let me give you a plug now to our listeners. So if you would like to know more about the Kagools and perhaps would like to buy a ticket to one of the shows, whether it be Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, Vietnam, or Singapore, or Malaysia and other places, it's thekagools.com, and that's KAGOOLS.com. Hey, that's a pretty good plug.
Thanks, Maury.
Yeah, thanks.
Hopefully that gets you a couple of tickets. Thank you very much for your time. It is Friday there where you are. Have you got you've got a show tonight?
Yeah, we're doing, so we're at the Slapstick Festival still in Bristol, and it's the big gala tonight. It's hosted by Tim Vine, so we're doing a spot on the gala. So
Oh, perfect.
Cool.
Tim Vine's a very funny man. I love his comedy. Well, thank you very much, Claire and Nicky, for your time from the Kagools. Yeah, if you've enjoyed this interview, go do a little bit of a YouTube search, find out some of their material, and then get along to one of their shows down in the Southern Hemisphere when you're here over the next couple of months, or 3 months. So, Claire, Nicky, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Maury. Cheers. Thanks.
See you later.
See you in Australia.